Well, let's cross live now to Paris and speak to Adefemi Akinsanya for more on the second day of Tinubu's visit and other latest development. Hello, Femi. Great to see you.
Hi, Adeso. Good evening.
Great. So yesterday we talked about not so much of specifics. Today we're talking about the business of the day. Do we have any better information on specifics of what has happened in the business community between these two countries?
Right. Well, the good thing about today is that it was more so leaning towards details. The day started at the France-Nigeria Business Forum. So essentially it brought a lot of people into one space. It was very, very well attended, and it started with an opening discussion from the French delegation, but then Nigeria's federal government took to the stand, firstly with Minister Wale Edun, who spoke at length about the importance of Nigeria being able to harness the benefits from the already established reforms that Nigeria has already put in place, notably the removal of subsidies, and then that saving of money has allowed the federal government to redistribute those monies in different areas in order to harness and take advantage of the opportunities on the table during this state visit. So he talked about primarily the importance of raw materials. He mentioned how now there is, of course, locally produced refined petroleum products being available in the market in Nigeria by the way of the Dangote refinery, and then of course with the coming on board of the state government or the NNPC's version, or rather the refineries that we're seeing in River State, Warri. So he talks about how that is an example of how the money saved from removing a subsidy is being put back into more vital areas of Nigeria's economy that is developing at a faster pace. So we heard that from the Minister of Finance, and then we did have the newly appointed Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Jumoke Oduwole, who also went to the stage and spoke at length about the different types of deals being done. We have a package on the way, and she talked specifically about how there were several MOUs signed during the course of the day and yesterday that again looked at different areas of Nigeria's economy. She talked about something that we haven't actually heard much of, which was culture, and how agreements had been signed that would facilitate the building of museums in Nigeria by French contractors, again building the arts and culture scene in the country. And then also she talked at length about sustainability, about technology, raw materials and all of the like. So it is, in terms of specific information, it does seem as though this specific forum was quite conducive. And you know, earlier this week we did have already the news that Nigerian banks, firstly Zenith, had opened up shop in Paris, and then just yesterday we heard the news of UBA, the United Bank of Africa, following suit. Both of those banks doing so after Access Bank. And we also spoke to the leader, the chairman of Access Holdings, and also the president of the Nigeria France Business Council, Mr. Aigwaje Aigimokwede. And he spoke at length about this being a fantastic time for Nigerian banking businesses, and how he, through his own example of Access Bank, have been able to look at fostering a relationship with France to the betterment of Nigerians and Nigeria. He talked about how President Emmanuel Macron had gone a great deal in terms of issuing out licenses that has facilitated the opening of businesses that we've been seeing this week, notably, of course, Zenith and UBA. And he says that it's likely that more banks will follow suit. We will see more Nigerian presence in France in these areas, and then likewise seeing more investment off the back of that when it comes to France doing so for Nigeria. Now, talking about France and what France can do for Nigeria, also during the forum we were able to speak to Mr. Marchand, who is part of the team behind sustainability at Danone. And we do know that Danone have a presence in Nigeria. They also have acquired Fan Milk. They acquired Fan Milk 10 years ago, and over the course of those 10 years Fan Milk has tripled in size. He also mentioned that despite the progress being made in that industry, the milk products and the dairy products being made at Danone within Nigeria under these different businesses are using just 60% of locally sourced materials, locally sourced ingredients in Nigeria. And he's hoping to move towards getting to a point where all of the products, all of the dairy products produced in Nigeria would be sourced by Nigerian completely locally found products. So he talked about how this is where we're going to need the collaboration from France, from Nigerian banking institutions, in order to harness the already existing farming talent in the country. There are farmers, there are ample farmers already being able to work in the dairy industry in Nigeria, but they need access to finance, and they also need better infrastructure. He talked about how, despite there being great opportunities and great farmers, as he said, the products being produced at these farms, because of the infrastructural challenges, the bad roads, the quality of the product, once it reaches their base, drops so that it can't go into the market. So that has a knock-on effect. So it was so great to see all of these different institutions talking about businesses, but sitting right next to the leader of a financial institution, and then sitting next to a member of the federal government. So it just showed quite clearly that this is quite different from all of the other conversations that have been had in the years before, that now you are literally talking about change but also affecting that. And that's what the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment made very clear, that this is a different forum, that there have already been deals being signed. There have already been MOUs being issued, especially in different areas when it comes to technology, banking and finance, as we've already established, and also
all right,
Femi, so I do think that listening to the Go ahead. I need you to speak up, Adisu. I can't hear you very well at all, but please go ahead.
Great, Femi. It does sound like a promising future for both countries, Nigeria and France. But I wanted to ask you very quickly, because we need to wrap up, Femi. It's a 3-day state visit. Do we know what is in store for tomorrow, the last day of the visit? Any ideas?
The last day of the visit, we're hoping to see some form of a closing ceremony or any type of conversation from the president himself. He was actually supposed to attend today's business forum. He was a TBC on the agenda, and he didn't actually show up. We actually haven't seen much from the president today. So being that tomorrow is the somewhat official last day of the forum, it will be interesting to see if he makes his presence known. We do know that he is still in the country, as is a lot of different Nigerian federal government representatives, as well as private industry representatives. In terms of a concrete agenda just yet for Saturday, it's unclear what the plan is. But before everyone starts to make their way home, it is hoped at least that the president will come out and give a bit more information. We talked a lot about the press conference yesterday and how we weren't able to ask any questions, but were able to listen to the deals and the promises and pledges being made. And hopefully tomorrow we'll get some more information on that.
Adefemi Akinsanya, our international correspondent there in France.